I've been driving night routes for more than 20 years. You see strange things on empty roads, but there's one night that still makes my stomach turn when I think about it. It was a little past midnight, fog so thick I could barely see 10 feet ahead. I picked up a passenger from a bus stop outside a small village. She was a woman, maybe in her 30s, dressed in old-fashioned clothes like something from decades ago. She didn't say a word, just nodded and slid into the back seat. The moment she sat down, the air grew unnaturally cold. My windows fogged up from the inside, though the heater was running. I tried to make small talk, but she didn't respond. She only gave me one instruction: take me home. Her voice was flat, emotionless. I asked for an address, but she just lifted her hand and pointed straight ahead. Every time I asked again, she repeated, home. So I kept driving deeper into the fog. The GPS lost signal. My phone battery drained faster than I'd ever seen. The road seemed endless. After nearly 30 minutes, I noticed something. The reflection in the rearview mirror didn't match what I saw in the back seat. In the mirror, she was staring directly into my eyes, wide grin stretching unnaturally across her face. When I turned around, she was looking out the window, calm, expressionless. That was when I decided to stop. I pulled over and told her I couldn't go further without an address. The car fell silent. No sound, no breathing. I turned around again. The back seat was empty. I swear, the cushion was still pressed down like someone had just been sitting there. When I finally made it back to the main road, I stopped at a gas station to calm down. The old man working there saw my face and asked what was wrong. I told him I picked up a woman outside the village who disappeared mid-ride. His expression went pale. He said quietly, "You're not the first driver to pick her up. That woman died on that road in 1978. Even now, every time I drive past that stop, I feel a weight on the car. She's waiting to be picked up again." Would you like me to make this even more cinematic, with pauses, pacing, and emphasis cues, so it sounds creepier and more dramatic?
I worked as a night nurse for nearly 15 years. Hospitals at night, pause, are nothing like during the day. The halls feel longer, the silence is heavier. Even the sound of a distant monitor can make your skin crawl. There was one ward I hated covering, the old surgical wing. Half of it had been closed for years, lights shut off, equipment covered in dust. But sometimes, when beds were full, we'd have to put patients in the last few usable rooms. It was around 3 in the morning, low tone, slow. The time we called, the dead hour. I was doing rounds when I heard something. Pause faint, the sound of someone whispering. At first, I thought it was a patient talking in their sleep. But when I stepped into the hall, the whispers grew louder. They were coming from the dark, unused end of the wing. Whispered voice. "Help me." I froze. Every instinct told me not to go. But duty pulled me forward. I switched on my flashlight and slowly walked down the hall. The air grew colder with each step, and the smell of antiseptic gave way to something sour, something metallic, like dried blood. I reached the last room, one that had been sealed for years. The door was slightly open. I pushed it. The hinges groaned, like they hadn't moved in decades. Inside, the room was empty. No bed, no monitors. just peeling paint and a broken chair in the corner. But then, my light caught something. Pause. Lower voice, fresh handprints, smeared across the tiles. Dark red, trailing upward, toward the ceiling. Behind me, the whisper came again. Louder this time. Whispered, "Help me." I spun around, and in the reflection of the hallway window, I saw her. A woman in a patient gown, face half covered in bandages, standing right behind me. But when I turned, the hallway was empty. I didn't wait. I bolted back to the nurse's station, pale, shaking. When I told the senior nurse what happened, she just stared at me and whispered, soft, slow voice, "You saw her, didn't you? The woman who died. On the operating table. When the power went out years ago." I laughed nervously, hoping she was joking. But then she leaned in, her voice trembling. She always asks for help. Pause. But if you answer her, long silence. She follows you home.
I've worked in airports for more than 25 years. Slow, calm voice. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that airports don't truly sleep. There are always echoes, distant footsteps, the hum of lights. But after midnight, when flights are delayed and the storm clouds roll in, airports feel less like a place of travel and more like a place of waiting. Waiting for something that doesn't belong. That night, a storm had grounded nearly everything. The departure boards flickered endlessly between delayed and canceled. Most of the passengers had already left, but the system showed one last check-in. A boarding pass scanned. No passenger at the gate. I was the one assigned to check the empty terminal. Slow pacing. And that's where I saw her. At the far end of Gate C12, sitting perfectly still. A woman in an old-fashioned coat, a weathered suitcase by her side. I called out to her, "Ma'am, the flight is gone. You shouldn't be here." No response. She just stared out the tall glass windows at the storm-soaked runway. Lightning flashed. For a moment, her reflection in the glass didn't quite line up with her body. The head turned slower, like the reflection was delayed. When she finally turned toward me, her face was pale. Impossibly pale. Her lips moved. I leaned in to hear, whispered tone, "I need to get home." The lights above buzzed, then snapped dark. Only the emergency beacons glowed red against the walls. Every monitor in the terminal glitched at once. Rows of destinations scrambled into symbols, numbers twisting into static. And then the intercom came alive, not with an announcement. Urgent tone, but with screaming. Dozens of voices, men, women, children, all crying out in panic, overlapping, breaking through the static until the sound filled every inch of that terminal. Pause. Lower voice, and then silence. When the light steadied, the woman was gone, but her suitcase was still sitting there. I shouldn't have touched it, but something compelled me. The leather was cracked, burned at the edges as if it had been through fire. Inside were clothes reduced to ash, and a single boarding pass, dated 1997. Flight 917, a plane that never landed. It crashed on approach. Everyone on board was lost. Security reviewed the cameras. They swore there had never been anyone at Gate C12. The chair was empty. The suitcase never appeared on film. But I remember holding it in my hands. I remember the smell of smoke. And I remember the last thing I heard before I left that night. Soft, eerie whisper over long pause. Final boarding call. Flight 917. A flight that never landed. A flight that never stopped boarding. Very slow, almost whispered closing line. And sometimes, on stormy nights, passengers still vanish from their gates. Not checked out, not found. As if they'd stepped onto a plane that shouldn't exist.